Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about Trump's statement about over there and what it means for foreign policy during his term. It certainly appears that the incoming Trump administration wants to strike a new tone on foreign policy and reset the global perception of what Trump's foreign policy is. Despite perception in the U.S. among many voters, Trump's foreign policy during his first term was widely panned around the world as being all flash and no substance. It's a reputation that the Trump administration is probably very aware of and wants to counter. In true Trump fashion, the apparent way to counter the perception is via social media with a dramatic announcement that is likely to be very divisive in the United States. Trump took to social media to announce that those being held in Gaza must be released by January 20th, 2025. The announcement seems to indicate that if those being held are not released by his inauguration, the United States will directly engage militarily. He described past efforts at gaining their release as, quote, all talk and no action. He then went on to say that if they weren't released, quote, those responsible will be hit harder than anybody has been hit in the long and storied history of the United States of America. Release the hostages now. Given Trump's flair for the dramatic, many might want to write this off as mere bluster. That seems unwise. Trump is prone to dramatic, vague statements that don't mean much. What he's not prone to are announcing deadlines with direct cause and effect statements. I would not write this off as a bluff. Politically, there are three things at play here. The first is Trump's desire to begin his second term with a massive splash that resets his foreign policy. The second is that if Biden's renewed push is successful, then Trump can take credit for it. And honestly, in this case, it wouldn't be a lie. Trump's statement will certainly offer a change in dynamic at the negotiation table and set a clock. The third thing is the domestic political situation. The inability of the Biden administration to make progress plagued the Democratic Party and likely led to depressed voter turnout for that side of the aisle. Trump is obviously misreading the objections that led to that dissatisfaction among Democratic voters. But to Trump's way of thinking, any end, regardless of how it's achieved, will put the issue to bed. Or maybe he's reading the objections accurately and just doesn't care about them. The next question is, what exactly does he mean by hit harder than anybody has been hit? Generally, when Trump says something like this, he typically means financially or via the air. The U.S. already does about as much as it can on the financial front. Now, there are ways to have a small footprint, but they don't satisfy Trump's political objectives, and they don't seem likely. There's a giant list of conversations that this statement will prompt, and they need to be had. The one thing that needs to be clear in those conversations is that this does not look like normal Trump bluster or bluff. This statement is likely to set the tone for the next 4 years of U.S. foreign policy. The prospect of direct military involvement. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.